Bob Chapman, again, I apologize for having you hold a few minutes, but I know you've told me you don't mind when we have a guest on like that. For those that want to read the article, it says, top construction firm WTC destroyed by controlled demolition. A top former BBC reporter saying day one, they knew it was an inside job. Bob Chapman, what do you make of that?
I hadn't heard that. Did it just come out?
Yeah, it just came out.
No, I don't have any comment because I haven't read into it at all.
What about the overall?
What I would like to say is that was a wonderful guest, and I hope you have him on again soon. He understands what it's all about.
I just found the Victor Hugo quote, a French philosopher, adversity makes men and prosperity makes monsters. And that's absolutely true. But also, there's another Victor Hugo quote I really love, and that is, there is no army that can stop an idea whose time has come. Bob Chapman.
And that's for sure. And that was right around the French Revolution, I'm sure. And when I lived in Geneva, when I was going to the University de Genève, I lived in Jean-Jacques Rousseau's old house, we'll call it. And he was in the same time period. But, the verity of life is the same as it was long ago. Mankind hasn't changed that much. It's just the instruments which those who are in power and want to remain in power use against mankind to harness them to do the things that they want them to do.
You're absolutely right. There's so much going on, so much to talk about. But let's get into the economy first. I mean, Bob, every time you come on, I hate to say the same thing, but you were right about everything that's unfolded. The banks have used the global crisis they publicly created to get even more power and to take over other sectors of the economy. What do you think is going to happen with the euro now? What's going on with the dollar? Where do you see gold going?
Well, first of all, your reference to the big new Brzezinski was correct, that it was at the Council on Foreign Relations meeting in Montreal about 2 weeks ago when he said what you had quoted him as saying, in essence. And we discussed this last week, I believe. And the bottom line is we got them running. And they're not just concerned, they're terrified. And I think that's great. And we're getting a greater and greater reach all the time. You and I have both been on radio and television in Europe. And we keep on getting invited back because obviously there's a great interest there. And so that is also, I think, in part because we're outside the box, we tell the truth, and people are looking for that because they're not getting it from their leadership in Europe for the most part. And so I think that the people behind government, the great powers, I think that they have decided that the euro and the European Union is not going to work or not going to fit for them. And I think they're going to do something else. And the first thing they're going to do is nationalize banking both in the United States as well as in Europe. And they'll probably do it country by country. How long will it take for the euro to get down? It's hard to say. If I had to guess, I'd probably say a year and a half, 2 years, maybe sooner. It all depends on how nasty things got. The Fed is now holding up the banks in Europe. They're all broke, just like the American banks. And they're clearing out their toxic waste, which is the collateralized debt obligations. They're buying the bonds that others are holding that were issued by Greece, Spain, Portugal, Ireland, and Italy will be next. In fact, Italy's rollover of debt this year and next year is preposterous. I saw the numbers this morning. They're double to 3 times what the other nations are. All
right, Bob, stay there. Let's come right back with that. Because I remember you 2 years ago with the bailout, you said by 2010, mid-2010, that's going to run out. Then we'll find out we're even in worse shape. And then in the next year after that, we'll find out we're in a full-bore depression. We'll see if you still agree with your previous forecast. It's all coming true. We'll be right back. All right, going back to Bob Chapman. Bob, you got cut off by the break there. But, I mean, I just go back to almost 2 years ago. You described the bailouts that were coming in the next few months. You said within a year and a half that will run out. They will lie and say the economy's getting better. By design, they're imploding it. Then you'll see other currencies go down. So continue from here, not just what's going to happen in Europe, but are they going to have one of these controlled implosions, one of these geldings, one of these shearings in Asia? And then what's the next round in the United States?
Well, I think the next round in the United States is before the election. I think the market will go down further. And I think that the gold and silver will go higher. And I think there's a possibility of warfare in the Middle East. I think there's a chance for other false flag operations. I think that the most important thing that could happen, and probably will, is that there will be a flood of banks going under and banks being merged into other banks. And I think it'll pick up velocity in the coming year. And I know that it's the goal of the Federal Reserve, which is the tyrannical money monopoly that runs our country, to just have a handful of banks and nationalize them. And this is their goal. This is where they're headed for. And that's going to affect America. Europe is already under effect.
And that's the game plan. And with unfunded mandates, they bankrupt the states and the national governments. And then we all go into hock to the 4 or 5 global mega banks, which openly have announced a world government run by them.
Exactly. And that's what they're looking for. And, of course, the big no, being, very sharp, he envisions real trouble. And he wouldn't come out and say what he had. He doesn't throw statements around like Kissinger does. He's very, very incisively thoughtful. And they're scared to death. We are reaching the masses.
Well, you heard me then. Do you think do you think I paraphrased it? Because I was trying to paraphrase 6 minutes. What he basically said to the CFR, and I saw their faces, was, for the first time in world history, everybody's awake to the real power structure. And our world government is in trouble because it's all fractured, because once people are aware of what we're doing, there's no way to hold it together, even with our nuclear weapons.
And that's why we got to keep on pounding them and pounding them and pounding them until we have them pounded into oblivion. And we want to do that through the system. We don't want to have to change things by violence. We don't want wars, although we'll probably get them whether we like them or not. It's a way to escape for these people, or at least they think so. One of the dreadful things that I encounter as a journalist is that there's so many people out there who write who don't understand the history of these people. They don't know the underlying problem. And they believe the government statistics. They believe the things that these people in power say. And you can't do that. You have to figure out where they're coming from and where they're going. And you have to back into everything all the time. But that's the way you're going to stop them. Because when you can tell people, look, this is what I think is going to happen by the end of the year, it happens, you get credibility, and then they start believing that there are people who cooperate together and have for centuries to control mankind. They're going to start believing you. And this is a position that we're in, Alex. You and I and a handful of people, and we got to keep on banging away until we can't anymore.
Well, that's the issue, is that not only has everything we've talked about come true because we were reading the globalist own handbooks and reading Foreign Affairs, and I mean, they always thought that we weren't paying attention to them before, so they were communicating with each other because they had such disdain for us, really in plain view. But now, because we've revealed them, they're admitting world government, they're admitting they engineered everything, but they're coming out and saying, yeah, we grow the opium. Yeah, those bin Laden videos were fake. In the Washington Post, on Fox. And I've studied their psychological warfare. I think they're trying to titrate the dose. for those that don't know, how do you get immune to a cobra bite? They slowly give you more and more of it until you have an immunity to it or a tolerance. It's like whiskey. The first time you drink whiskey, it burns the hell out of you and tastes horrible. But 5 years later, you can drink a whole bottle and enjoy it. And you've got a tolerance. So they're trying to build our tolerance up with, we killed the same Al-Qaeda leader 14 times and never retracted the last time. Yeah, we're bringing the drugs in. Yeah, we're putting out fake Al-Qaeda videos. Like Fox News. Yeah, they were talking about blowing up 7, but maybe maybe it's good we blew it up. Maybe we didn't. Maybe we did. What are you going to do about it, huh? Stay there, Bob. I want to get your take on that and the economy a lot more straight ahead.